Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Worthsmith's Forge. I'm Matthew J. Coran. I got quite an episode for you today. It's titled "What Makes a Hero," and I just got done laughing a lot because I recorded this video, or at least I thought I did. I was rambling for like 20 minutes, realized I never hit record. Anyway, I had a conversation with a gentleman a few weeks ago, and it was very interesting. And even though I did not agree at all with what he was saying, I found it very edifying because like it makes you. It's one of those things that makes you think, you know. And yeah, because it was a conversation about God, and it was regarding violence in the Old Testament. Like, how can God allow all this violence, order all this violence? These poor innocent people just hurting, you know. And I'm not a theologian. I'm not gonna get into the theology of it. Maybe another time. But uh, it did make me think because there's certain aspects of it where he's talking about like how can a loving God do all these things, even sacrifice his son. Like, who would sacrifice his son? You know, like what's loving about this? And one of the responses I had for him was I invited him to reflect on how love and sacrifice are often intertwined, or what the relationship between them is. And it made me think recently about the hero's journey and what makes a hero compelling to a lot of people. And the basic answer is anything that relates to the life of Christ is what makes a hero compelling. Because Christ is the ultimate hero, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, because he checks off all the boxes of what makes a hero. And so I kind of want to go through that a bit. And I'll use a more contemporary example when it comes to. Because one of the biggest factors is sacrifice, right? Because hero isn't just powerful and then that's his draw, right? Because, like, then it's just easy. Like, I'm going to create Infinity Man, and his superpower is everyone he looks at dies if he wants them to. Power, right? But that's not compelling, right? There's no limit. Uh, there's no motivation. There's no weakness to fight against. Like, it's like, oh, I don't like you, dead, dead. There's nothing to it, right? But one example to think about is Dragon Ball Z or a Dragon Ball Super. You know, like the Dragon Ball series. It has a big cult following all around the world. People absolutely love it. It's spinned off so many different video games and franchises. It's kind of insane for having okay storytelling at best. But what is it that people get into about it? It's not that Goku is just super powerful, but it's the fact that he had a very humble beginning and that he's constantly faced with people stronger than him, and he has to train hard all the time to get stronger and stronger and break through these limits. It's the fact that there are limits for him to break that makes him so compelling, and the fact that he has to sacrifice a lot in order to break those limits. Because that's the thing. You don't get anywhere in life without sacrifice. It's one of the rules of this world. If you want something, you have to give up something else. Right? And that's why I think a lot of young men like Dragon Ball, because it's kind of like lifting. Right? If you want to get stronger, you have to break yourself down, hurt for a while, and then you come back stronger. And you have to give up some comforts. Right? It's a very low level sacrifice, but it's a sacrifice nonetheless. And so, in the hero's journey, we see the hero reach a point where he's faced with a limitation or with a dilemma, and he has to make a sacrifice. And we see this in the life of Christ, where man has fallen and is so steeped in sin, there is literally no hope for him unless Christ sacrifices himself, steps down from the most lofty position possible, which is being God himself, taking the lowly position of a man, and a poor man at that, being treated literally the most unfairly. No human being on this earth has been treated more unfairly than Christ, simply for the fact that he has never sinned. He has no sin at all, and he was treated like a common criminal and executed as such. And through that immense sacrifice, because no one could say they even sacrificed more than Christ, because no one had more to sacrifice than Christ. And he gave it all up willingly for everyone. And he would have done it even for just one person. And so through that sacrifice, what did he do? He conquered death, and he gave us everlasting life and forgiveness for our sins. That's literally what a hero does in a very microscopic way in other stories, right? Like a good example off the top of my head would be Harry Potter, for example. Harry, for those of you who've lived under a rock and have never heard of the ending of Harry Potter, you can cover your ears. But basically, he gives his own life to kill off the part of himself that's connected to Voldemort that makes him immortal. And so he sacrifices his own life in a way. There's no guarantee he's coming back to life, even though he does. And then he overcomes Voldemort. He overcomes basically the symbol of death itself. Right? And so that's really what we look for in a hero. Someone who gives us hope. Hope in the face of death and despair. And so another factor that goes into that is someone who stands up for what is good, what is right. Christ obviously being the ultimate example of that, whether it's in calling out the Pharisees as hypocrites or generally the religious hypocrites, and showing people how to live through the commandments the right way and fulfilling the commandments. And so we look for a hero who not only overcomes bad, but also establishes good, right? Because you can think about the end of Harry Potter, how it didn't just end with him killing Voldemort, right? Like, there was a new order established, like Hogwarts was restored. Life went back to kind of normal, even though now the Death Eaters are gone, right? So the hero doesn't just conquer evil because an evil person can kill an evil person, right? It's not enough to just not be the evil guy at the time. You need to also be standing up for good, and you need to do it in a way that's uncompromising. That's the third thing. Because think about, like, if you're in a situation at work where, let's say a coworker is treating you badly, and your boss steps in and talks to your coworker. You want your boss, like, to be able to see what you're going through, to see your struggle, and to be able to stand up for you on your behalf to whoever it is that's giving you problems. You wouldn't want them to try and just placate them or cower and not want to do anything. You respect your boss when he establishes a line and says, you don't cross this line, right? Anyone would respect someone for doing that. And we see this in the life of a hero, someone who will not compromise, who will hold the line, even at the cost of their own life. And in doing so, they bring forth a new order. Think about the martyrs for the early years of the church. Like the first, I forget how many bishops of Rome, the first popes, I think there's like 16 of them. They were all martyred. You know, so many Christians in Rome were martyred. St. Peter and St. Paul were martyred. The and you can think about how the blood of the martyrs, how powerful that made the church, to the point where Rome is now the biggest church in the world. Right? There's power in holding the line. There's power in not giving up. There's power in sacrifice. And that is the power that draws people into the hero. And so that's all I got for today. If you enjoyed this, if you have anything to add, feel free to drop it in the comments. If you have a favorite hero that kind of embodies these characteristics, or if you think I missed any, feel free to comment. I love to hear from you. And as always, you can sign up for my newsletter at MatthewJCoran.com. And my book, Heir to Song and Sword, is out. You can find it on Amazon. And in the meantime, take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.